Hey folks, welcome to DocTalk. I'm Dr. Dan Thomson. I'm glad you joined us today. We're going to go back and revisit something that is a question that I get all the time, and that is about vaccinating or immunizing cattle. Thanks for joining us. Stay tuned. More after these messages.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
Hey folks, welcome to DocTalk. I'm Dr. Dan Thomson, and we're here at the College of Veterinary Medicine at Kansas State University, where I serve as the Jones Professor of Clinical Epidemiology in the Department of Diagnostic Medicine and Pathobiology. Welcome to the show. One of the times, we did a show several years ago about how do vaccinations work. And we talked about modified live versus killed and things of that nature. And every once in a while, I like to go back and revisit some of these topics. And the first thing when we talk about vaccinations, there's a difference between vaccinating and immunizing. When we vaccinate an animal, that's simply the process of drawing up a vaccine into a syringe and injecting it into the animal. Immunization or immunizing the animal is providing the vaccination or the exposure to a disease where the animal actually mounts the proper immune response against the agent that we want it to immunize. So we don't want to just vaccinate cattle, we want to immunize cattle. Some of the things that go into that are making sure that the animal is healthy, that the animal is not stressed, because it's just as important that we put the vaccine into the right animal to get immunization as it is when we pick the right vaccination or the right vaccine to put into that animal. Now, I'll re-emphasize one thing in my classes that I teach all the time. There are two reasons why animals get sick. One, an overwhelming dose of a pathogen like IBR virus or BVD virus or Mannheimia hemolytica is a bacteria causing respiratory disease. Maybe it's lepto and vibrio causing reproductive diseases in our cows, but exposure to some sort of pathogen or a suppressed immune system. So the two reasons why animals get sick, either an overwhelming dose of a pathogen or a suppressed immune system. What causes a suppressed immune system? It could be stress. It could be nutrition, improper nutrition, decreased body condition score. All of these things that go into animal husbandry that promote growth are also factors that go into promoting a proper and functioning immune system so that when we vaccinate an animal or when the animal is exposed to disease, they develop antibodies to help them protect it. This is a graph from a picture from Dr. Chris Chase, just showing this level of disease and immune system. And you can see here the green line is our immune system and it's functioning, and the blue line is, or the purple line, is the disease challenge. And you can see at that one point in time right here in the middle of this picture, there's a point when the immune system is suppressed and the exposure to the disease or the challenge to that pathogen is high. And that red area, that means when the animal gets sick. When you look at the next picture, you can see the red arrows when we vaccinate, and you can see that when we vaccinate, we immunize the animal. So we vaccinate, we get an immune response, that means the animal's immunized. Now our disease resistance goes up and our disease challenge stays low with no red areas or crossover indicating disease. When we come back, more on vaccinations for your cow herd, how they work, how long it takes for them to work, and much more.
To see this show and past episodes of Ag AM in Kansas, go online to agamandkansas.com.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
Healthy cows start with the new hired hand automatic livestock sprayer. Rancher invented to provide an efficient alternative to pour-on and injectable parasite management systems. The portable design allows cattle to treat themselves head to hoof. Strategic device placement with pass-through activation technology takes the stress out of parasite treatment for cattle and the rancher, leaving more time to tend to other vital tasks on the farm. To learn more, visit cowsprayer.com. The new hired hand makes healthy cows easy.
This segment brought to you by Santa Fe Trail Meats in Overbrook. Visit us online at sftmeats.com.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. I'm Dr. Dan Thomson, and we're here talking about immunology of your calves. And there are three types of immunology, okay? There's innate, passive, and acquired immunity. Innate immunity, I-N-N-A-T-E, innate, is something that you're born with. And so whether it's hair, whether it's skin, tears, saliva, things that we take for granted as being part of our immune system, preventing bugs from getting in, are things that we're born with to prevent disease happening in our body. Passive immunity is colostrum. When the cow, right before the first milk that the cow produces after the birth of the calf, is loaded with immunoglobulins against different diseases. And those immunoglobulins, when the calf nurses, are able to pass across the gut wall intact for the first 12 to 24 hours after the calf is born. Really after 12 hours after the calf is born, we have gut closure, and the absorption of immunoglobulins, or IgG, to make passive immunity in that calf happen diminishes by 50 to 75% after 12 hours. So really the critical window of calves getting passive immunity from the cow's colostrum to the calf is within the first 12 hours after that calf is born. So you need to monitor that. After passive immunity, after gut closure, any kind of immunity that calf is going to have from that point forward is what we call acquired. So acquired means that somehow that animal is exposed, or that person is exposed to a disease, and whether it's through vaccinating them with a protein or the actual pathogen that we want, giving them a small dose of the pathogen so that the immune system causes immunization, or if they're stumbling around out there and let's say they suckle on the cow and she has a little bit of E. coli on the teat, that's exposure, and they start to build immunity against E. coli and salmonella and different things, as long as they have a functioning immune system and they don't get too much of exposure. So innate is what you're born with. Passive is colostrum immunity that goes to the calf. Acquired is what we get when we vaccinate or immunize calves, or if the calf has natural exposure to something out there. One thing to note is that colostral immunity or passive immunity, maternal antibody interference, can negate if we give when we have colostrum, the antibodies in colostrum will protect the calf for about 5 to 6 months of age. When we come in and give branding shots at 3 months of age, there can be interference of that maternal antibody. Say that there's colostrum that has high antibody of IBR and we vaccinate for IBR, it might neutralize our vaccine. But don't stop vaccinating then, because the calves that didn't get good colostrum are the ones that need vaccinated at the time of branding so that they have acquired immunity. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about modified live and killed vaccines. You're watching DocTalk, and I'm glad that you're here.
I'm Sandstrew, veterinarian in Western Iowa. I have a veterinary clinic and started doing stem cell therapy on dogs in August of 2014. And after the first 2 dogs, after 3 weeks, I saw such dramatic results. I said, hey, I have arthritis. I have joints that really need this help. Where can I go to get this done? I had stem cell therapy done in November of 2014 on my finger joints, my hip, and the ball of my left foot, all of which I'd had real severe problems with. Saw a pretty dramatic improvement in a short amount of time. I would certainly recommend that somebody don't wait until I'm in the position that I was in with the damage already done to my joints. I encourage veterinarians to use it for their animals, and I encourage anybody who sees this video, if you have need, get in contact with these people because this is a phenomenal place to have this done.
Did you know long-range planning through the checkoff can help keep your business profitable? To successfully pass on cattle operations from one generation to the next, it's important to promote beef and keep farms and ranches profitable. Your beef checkoff helps do that.
We're Jurger's Cattle Company, cow-calf operation primarily with a small replacement heifer operation. We started our operation in 2012, but we expanded on my father-in-law's operation, who started in the 70s, and built off his expertise and his knowledge and have taken and grown it to what it is today. We span about 4 different counties in North and South Carolina, running about 1,000 acres with 350 roughly head of mama cows. My husband and I and my son and my father-in-law operate together. About 2 years ago, we decided to make the switch to become all-natural producers. And what that means is it's a certain standard of quality and life for not only the calves that become part of the food source and the meat itself, but the cows also. Beef checkoff is important for our operation in a twofold way. First is marketing, creating a customer for us. We sell directly to feedlots, but our end game is the consumer. We want to create a product for the consumer that they desire, that they want to go back to the supermarket or steakhouse and they want more beef. Everybody knows the slogan, beef is what's for dinner, but it falls even more than that in that they've raised consumer awareness in quality, which is important to us because we try to focus heavily on our genetics. That's a main component of our operation, and the checkoff has allowed us to do that by promoting a product that's important to the consumer, that it's good quality, it's safe, it's nutritious, and they're gonna want to be return customers.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well on their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, we're glad to answer and work with you.
Hi, I'm Kim Mandarin with Hardy Insurance. I'm here to help you with all of your farm and ranch needs. When it comes to protecting your operation and your family, you need a name you can trust at a price you can afford. Call me today or visit hardyaviationins.com.
I'm Derek Sawyer, and I'm a fourth-generation Kansas farmer. I've known all my life I wanted to farm this land near McPherson, which was my grandfather's before me.
I'm Katie Sawyer, a journalist who never dreamed I'd live my life on the farm until I met Derek.
We've married our worlds to help educate consumers about the rural lifestyle and all that farmers do to provide safe and affordable food.
Watch our story and the stories of other young Kansas food producers at kansaslivingmagazine.com/meetafarmer.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Hey, welcome back to DocTalk. I'm Dr. Dan Thomson, and this is a picture that I got from Dr. Chris Chase. And I just want to say that if they came in and they said, okay, you have to choose one immunologist to talk to for the rest of your life, and you can't talk to any others, which bovine immunologist would you call? And nothing against a lot of good ones out there, but I'd pick Chris Chase at South Dakota State. Chris is a family friend, but man, he is a brilliant mind, and he's somebody that's had his boots on the ground and worked with a lot of cattle. This is a picture of the immunization or the immune system of the lifespan of a calf. And I just think it's an outstanding picture. So we start at conception. So when the bull and the cow get together and we conceive a calf in utero, the first thing you need to understand is that the immune system of the calf or the fetus kicks on at about 4 to 5 months gestation. So as we get to 4 to 5 months gestation, the fetus actually has a functioning immune system. And that's when it kicks on and it takes inventory and it says, hair, that's me, hooves, that's me, eyeball, that's me. And from that point on, anything that's not what they took inventory as a fetus is then not considered to be of oneself, and they will create an immune response against it. So you can see here that we actually start to get a little bit of an innate immunity occurring in utero. And then the calf is born. And at birth, that's where we have passive immunity. Passive immunity is when the calf is born, our innate immunity drops. We make sure that that calf gets colostrum, and from that colostrum, we get passive immunity and maternal antibody floating around in that calf. So that's depicted here. Passive immunity is depicted with the blue triangle, okay? And that will last until about a month or two before weaning. Between that time, from when that animal is born until the animal dies, we have acquired immunity. And you can see that exposure, vaccinations, things like that are creating the acquired immunity to protect that calf from diseases. When we get out there, the place that the calf is most vulnerable, as you can see from this dashed line up here at the top and the solid line, looking at the waning of maternal antibody or the waning of passive immunity out there at 5 to 6 months, and the wanting to have an increase of acquired immunity, that's when it's important that we vaccinate calves. So as maternal antibody or colostrum antibody is going down, we want to make sure that we vaccinate and immunize calves to make sure that we continue to have them covered throughout the rest of their lifetime. When you take a puppy and we vaccinate it at 6 weeks, 9 weeks, 12 weeks, and 15 weeks, the reason why we do that is because we don't know when the maternal antibody or the colostral antibody from the female dog, from the mama dog, is going to wane in those puppies. We know it's not going to be sooner than 6 weeks, and we know it's not going to be longer than 15 weeks. So the reason why the veterinarian has you vaccinate at 6, 9, 12, and 15 is that some point in that, we're going to have the decrease in the maternal antibody, and the vaccine is going to take over and create the acquired immunity for the rest of the life of that pup, and we need to simulate the same thing in our calves. When we come back, we'll wrap up on immunization and immunology of the calf on DocTalk.
No matter where, no matter why, the Veterinary Health Center at Kansas State University is committed to providing quality patient care to animals and exceptional customer service to their owners. From routine checkups to emergency and specialty care, our world-renowned specialists and experienced professionals are here to discover, to teach, and to heal.
Let us know.
How can I help?
How can we help?
Thanks for joining me today for Boehringer Ingelheim's Cattle First. When we start to think about labels that are on bottles of antibiotics, it's extremely important that we follow them. The first thing that's on the label, what species is this indicated for? So it might be for cattle, for horses, for dogs, or cats. Once we understand the species that these products are labeled for, what's the indication? Bovine respiratory disease. Could it be for foot rot? There's a list of species, indications. After that, What's the dosage, what's the route of administration, and then what's the withdrawal time, or the time in which it's safe to take an animal to slaughter from the time in which the animal was last treated until that animal is slaughtered. So, species, indication, dosage, route of administration, withdrawal. All of these are important components on the label, so make sure that you follow them and use antibiotics judiciously. Boehringer Ingelheim's Cattle First.
Fort Wallace was the fightingest fort in the West. Fossils, Indians, soldiers, scouts, wagons, trails, pioneers, stories. Discover the story of Fort Wallace and the people who served here, the people who fought here, the people who settled here. Wallace County, where the past is present.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply. This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook or Twitter.
Back to DocTalk. I'm Dr. Dan Thomson. We're talking about vaccinations. Some of the misconceptions about vaccinations is that they work right away. And I think that what we need to understand is we need to plan ahead. We not only need to understand the life cycle and the immunology of the calf, but we also need to understand that if we vaccinate today, it's going to be 5 to 7 days before that vaccination provides coverage. So let's say you're worried about the biosecurity of buying some naive heifers and bringing them into your farm. And I know there are no diseases that those heifers would catch on your farm, but you have neighbors, okay? So let's just say we're going to protect our naive heifers from neighbor XYZ. How long, and what I ask the students is, how long would you quarantine those heifers if you're going to begin vaccination? Well, if you can see from this picture, when we vaccinate an animal the first time, we won't see an antibody response or an immune response that is protective for 5 to 7 days. And really, we don't see peak immune response or protection for 2 weeks. And you can notice here that the first time we vaccinate is a little blip. And so we build up some antibody in the animal, we get some protection, but if we come back in at 21 days post the first vaccination, or if the animal is exposed to the virus out in the wild, you can see that we get this what they call anamnestic response, which is a fancy word for booster. So a booster vaccine at 21 days creates this huge spike in antibody, much more protective than just one vaccination. And so based on that, talking about waiting 14 days for the first immune response to peak from the first vaccination, revaccinating at 21 days on those naive heifers, you will see that you get a much larger. So what we recommend when you hear people say, well, we recommend that you quarantine those new heifers for 30 days before introducing them into the herd, which then gets introduced to your neighbors on both sides, and if they'd have a BBD PI. So really what we're saying is, to have that functioning immune system, vaccines and immunization is an important part of biosecurity. So when I vaccinate those animals, again, 5 to 7 days before I have any protection, and then it's 2 weeks before I have peak, which isn't very high compared to if I have a booster and look out there at 28 to 30 days post the first vaccination. Very important for biosecurity. The other thing is, you really, to have an immune response, you have to put the vaccination into an animal that is healthy. You got to make sure that you protect your vaccines, keep them out of UV light, keep them cool. Don't mix up too much before you vaccinate. Make sure the calf has a functional immune system, that it's not too stressed or has maternal antibody interference. And lastly, administer it properly. Follow the beef quality assurance. Thanks for watching DocTalk today. I hope you enjoyed it. I love talking about vaccinations and cows and veterinarians, and I hope that you all are doing well on your ranch. If you want to know more about what we do at DocTalk, you can find us at www.doctalktv.com. Remember to always work with your local veterinarian. They'll understand these vaccinations and the immunizations that your cows need. I'm Dr. Dan Thomson. Thanks for watching DocTalk today, and I'll see you down the road.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.